Друзья мои, всем привет! Это уже вторая часть, основана на реальных событиях. Друзья, и пятая часть, друзья, пятую часть поделю пополам. Потому что, друзья, пятая часть будет очень такая длинная, я ее поделю пополам. Друзья, но прежде чем я начну, то, пожалуйста, поставьте лайк. Да, если вам эта пятая часть понравится. Вот, друзья, пока жмем лайк. Да, друзья, ну что, погнали? Поставили лайк, значит можно начинать. Ну что, let's go.
I attempted to make a new domino trick, and trying to make anything new or modifying a trick is very difficult, and especially if it's something that requires a lot of dominoes like that I tried to build. I just want to walk you through my whole thought process and take you through, what it's like to go through iterations, see something that doesn't work, and make slight changes to hopefully improve it one by one, and eventually get a successful domino trick. You'll have to watch till the end to see if I actually got it to work. That's up for you to decide. But yeah, let me tell you the whole inspiration behind building this trick. So I was always intrigued by the wall back, which, if you don't know what that is, it's basically a domino wall that topples. Half of the wall topples on the top, and then it goes down, and then the second layer underneath that topples. And this is able to work because there's a barrier layer inside the domino wall where there's flat dominoes, which kind of separates the top layer of the wall from the bottom half of the wall. And I thought, I could do something with this trick. I could innovate on that even further and make something that I don't think anyone else has done before. So it made me think, alright, instead of a typical domino wall that just goes left to right and then right to left on the bottom, why don't I try doing a 2D pyramid one? Or, have a diagonal that goes up rather than just horizontal? Or, have something that is slanted. So I aimed to make what I am calling a slanted wall back rather than the normal wall back. And here are some of my tests. So with test number 1, I wanted to try something that wasn't, a full 2D pyramid yet, because I wanted to just go little by little. So you see here, the diagonal is very, very slight. There's not much of a slope, and when it topples, well, that didn't work at all, because the bottom half fell early. I think that's probably a combination of toppling the top wall too close to the edge of the bottom wall. If I started it maybe like 4 layers in from the left side, perhaps that could have worked. Additionally, the barrier layer, the flat dominoes, was possibly, not enough. Sometimes you might need an extra layer of dominoes, so that led me to test number 2, where I was getting kind of ambitious. I wanted to do the full 2D pyramid test. So the idea is, the blue section will go first, so it goes all the way up, and then it goes all the way down, and then later on, the 2D pyramid in the red section would fall. So, yeah, I tried this one, but here, again, the same thing happened. The barrier layer didn't work. It wasn't strong enough for the blue layer to go on without, interfering with this red one. So this made me think, this barrier layer needs to be, super, super strong. So we go on to test number 3. I scaled it back a little bit, so it's kind of a half 2D pyramid in a way. So what I did was I extended the barrier layer on every layer of the domino wall. So you'll see, if you zoom in real close here, there are 1, 2, 3 flat dominoes with then 2 flat dominoes on top. So there's a total of 5 flat dominoes as a barrier layer, which, because it's a diagonal, a 2D pyramid, there's 2 levels of barriers, because when you jump up to another layer on top, there's 2 flat dominoes of barriers rather than 1 like a normal wall back. So I thought, because there's an extra layer of this protection, hopefully it should not interfere with this red section here. So let's see this one topple. This one, it actually worked. And that was awesome on the third try. I honestly didn't expect that. Don't worry about this tower. That usually happens if, you make the end of a wall a single layer in one by one tower. And then over here, this small little section probably didn't fall because there's too much weight on top of it from the barrier layer. And the fact that it's just such a small section of the wall. Sometimes the end sections of a 2D pyramid don't fall. And that's okay. I'd still say that's kind of a success. So because test number 3 worked and the 2D half pyramid seemed to fall fine, going up and then stopping and then going back around, I wanted to try something where the domino wall would go fully up a domino 2D pyramid or trapezoid and then go back down afterward. So something interesting about what I changed in this test is I moved the barrier layer over to the left or the right by one domino. Now, what this does is it actually hides the barrier layer even more because within these little window gaps in the structure, now you only see one flat domino rather than 2 flat dominoes like in the previous test. And this is just so I can hide the barrier layer even more because I feel like it's kind of cool to just see the wall as it is. Like you think it's going to topple normally like a 2D pyramid or just a typical wall, but then you're like, you see the wall fall and only like half of it goes and like goes up, then it goes back around and then the second half falls. It's like, wait, what? I didn't even expect that. But that's kind of why I did it. I wanted it to be very normal looking without a lot of extra pieces on top of it. So that's how I changed it in this layer, but now the new pieces, will it actually topple the yellow section? Will the yellow section go from the top to the bottom without any hiccups? And let's see. So, not quite. The blue section worked, which is fantastic. That's good to know, 2 out of 2. Going up the 2D half pyramid, that works. However, what's very interesting is when the domino wall goes down, it can't quite go all the way. We still see this little section at the end, but this really shows as an example that it's hard to topple a wall from the top, because if you think about the way a domino wall topples, you start typically with the bottom domino, because once you trigger the first domino on the ground, there's no room for the one on top of that to go. So like you take out one, the one on top of that falls, which means the one on top of that falls because there's no more support, and of course that's how you get the chain reaction of a domino structure. But if you do that from the top and there's dominoes falling from the top, then you can't knock out the domino that is triggering it, which is typically from the bottom, unless you make this yellow section really tall, as if it were, like the minimum like 9-layer high wall to be safe or something. But I just find that very interesting. So it made me think, alright, going down a domino structure is going to be difficult. I think I need to make this layer higher so that it can fall a little bit normally, because if this blue section was only one layer, that would still work. That would topple all the way from the bottom to the top, but it doesn't work in the opposite direction when you're going down because there's just no support. I don't know if that makes sense, but like if you're toppling it from the top, it's still going to be connected, so it's just not going to topple. And that leads us to test number 5. I wanted to try something a little bit different. I had this crazy idea. What if it goes up like a 2D half pyramid, and then it hits a domino line that travels on top of the wall, and then goes back down the wall with dominoes literally on the side of the 2D half pyramid, and then that triggers the domino line to go around, hit this catapult, which knocks down the yellow section to go from the bottom to the top, and then once it reaches the top, those dominoes will fall and hit this white triangle field, and then a domino line goes out and then triggers another catapult to knock down this red section. I know, super complicated. Let's find out if it actually worked. So for some reason with this, the barrier layer didn't work, even though it worked in the last test, which, like, this happens to me so many times where I'll do a test and it works, and then I try to do it again, and it just, like, completely doesn't work, and I'm like, what did I do differently? Like, I don't understand this. So yeah, this, for some reason, it didn't work. The blue section toppled the red early. However, it did hit the string, which knocked down the line on top of the wall. So yeah, that was a big fail. I think for this one I was just like a little bit too optimistic, but you know, you gotta try. So now we're gonna move on to test number 6. For this test, I was feeling pretty confident, so I decided to just go all out and make the official ScreenLink clip. So I added the inline, I added the outline, and what we have here is the yellow section that goes all the way up, and now this time I extended the down section so the red should go all the way down, and then we have another barrier layer that separates a new dark blue wall, and hopefully this blue section will topple as a normal 2D half pyramid. So this is a slanted wall back, but with 2D half pyramids in a way. And let's see if it works. Alright, this one was super close, but if we watch this in slow motion, you'll see that the yellow section actually triggered a little bit of the bottom section of the red early, which, you know, that's kind of an imperfection, and I mean, I guess it still, like, sort of worked in the red section, but it's not exactly. It kind of, like, breaks the flow of the whole effect in a way. But then, once it starts the blue, there's actually too much weight on top of it from this barrier layer and just random dominoes that may have fallen and caught there. So due to that, the blue section locks up and that doesn't fall. I even threw some dominoes at it, but there's just still too much weight on top of it. I'm like, how can I even fix something like that? I don't know. So for test number 7, I did something similar to the previous test, except I turned it into a 2D pyramid rather than a 2D half pyramid that kind of came out at the end. But you'll see that I actually didn't make it a full 2D pyramid. Like, right here, we're missing a layer that could have gone on top of this red domino at the top of the 2D pyramid. But the reason I left out that little layer is because when this orange section falls, I was worried that it could potentially knock down some of the red early, and I didn't want that to happen. So by just not making that layer, there's no chance of it interfering. So let's see if this one works. So as you can see, the middle section actually fell early again. You see right here, this orange, you see it fall at the bottom while also at the top at the same time. Kind of ruins the effect, in my opinion. There's also this, like, really weird pause in the red section you see right here. That's because of the weight on top, but eventually it did have enough force to kind of push it through, and this was my first real successful kind of take for the ScreenLink. It did go from one side to the next side without stopping, but it didn't really fall the way that I actually planned, so I decided to build it again. I know, this is the perfectionist in me. So now we're on to test number 8, and something that I changed in this test is I made the yellow layer much smaller, because I noticed when I played the previous test in slow motion, I would see that dominoes on top on this yellow section would just slide down the slope of the 2D half pyramid and actually knock down more of this barrier on the orange and yellow section because there's just dominoes falling on the top. It's weird how they don't just fall straight down, but instead they follow the slope of the pyramid and end up knocking down more of the barrier than it is supposed to. So I thought with test number 8, if I just, put less layers of dominoes on this first yellow section, then maybe, less dominoes would mean less destruction in this barrier and it wouldn't topple early. Another change I made was I made the slope of this third section, this red section, much less steep. And this is in the hope that with a smaller slope, there won't be as much weight on top of it because it's not going up by a complete one by one diagonal. Instead, it's like it has like 2 layers to kind of build in its height. Does that make sense? I'm not sure if I'm making sense, but yeah, having less slope means that there's less weight on top of it, which will hopefully make it easier to fall without that weird pause. So let's see if this one works. Alright, this was a very interesting fall down. You'll actually see that even though the yellow section had less layers, it still made the orange section fall early. You can see down here, it still fell early. And you know, I don't think it's even a matter of how many layers I put in this yellow section. I think it's just the height of the structure, because it is, you know, like 3 or 4 feet high. Even if it's just one domino, that one domino is going to slide all the way down this diagonal and topple more dominoes in this barrier layer, which breaks it. And you know, we didn't see this with test number 3 or test number 4. Those were much smaller structures, so I think it's probably more reliable for a structure that isn't as tall, because then the dominoes at the top don't have a chance to slide down the entire thing and knock down more of the barrier. This is kind of a mess, but also it's still locked up. The third section, see here, there's still too much weight, and this was unfortunate because the previous test, it still worked all the way through, and now this test for some reason didn't, even with a lower slope. So at this point, you know, I was thousands of dominoes later. This leads us to test number 9, and I decided to simplify things. You know, I was getting way ahead of me, and I even drew out a ton of sketches of various ideas I had. Anyways, I decided to scale it back and just do a simple 2D half pyramid. You think it's going to topple like a 2D half pyramid, but instead there's actually 2 sections to it, where the first sliver goes up and then the half pyramid topples from right to left. So it's like an opposite sort of toppling direction. And this is very similar to test number 3, except now it's a full structure. You know, I used a solid color so you don't really see the differentiation in the pieces going up and then back down, and it kind of hides it. So yeah, let's topple this one. Alright, this topple was really confusing. I didn't really know what to say, if it worked or not. Like, you'll see here, the first section, it still sort of fell early in the beginning, in a way. It almost looks like it broke through the barrier layer a tad bit early, even in the middle section. Yeah, I don't know what to think about this one. Did it work? Can I use this in the screen link? Or is it just like a weirdly, like, just a weird structure that fell with a delay? Like, I don't know. I'm not sure what to use for the screen link, or if I should try it again, but yeah, this is the whole process. This is my brain. This is what I went through, iterating each time. But what is important, I think, is that I was just kind of optimistic and trying new things, and like knowing that it's gonna take a little bit to get things right. But you know, I've learned like maybe it's not even possible at the same time. Maybe it is better having a smaller structure so that the first section doesn't interfere with the barrier layer and topple it early. There's so much to think about this, and I still kind of want to continue with this process and perfect it in some way. But at the same time, I do need to continue making screen link clips so I can finish this video, so it's possible I might put this on hold. But I hope some of this could help you in your own process when you're making your own domino tricks, or you know, trying to modify a trick that already exists. There's a lot that can go into it, and a lot of rewatching things in slow motion to figure out why it didn't work, and then you know, adjusting accordingly in the next iteration. If anyone has ideas on how I can solve this problem with, you know, barriers breaking early, or you know, separating the sections better so that things don't fall early, or the third section not locking up, do let me know in the comments. I'm totally open to ideas, and hopefully at some point this trick can become more reliable. So that is my attempt of the slanted wall back. Thank you so much for listening. I know this is a really long video, but I think it's important to kind of give the full details and the context behind what goes into making a domino project. So I hope you enjoyed. Please let me know your thoughts below in the comments. And before I forget, our featured community member is Wandom, who is a Vietnamese domino builder. Go support their channel and subscribe. They're making some awesome stuff. And as always, I'm Lily Hevish, and keep on building. What's up, domino community? I'm in Greece right now, and I'm doing a huge domino project at an event. This is the Summer Nostos Festival. It's at the Stavros Nikaros Foundation Cultural Center, and it's an amazing space. I believe this entire building is solar powered. I'm going to be building for about 4 hours per day from Sunday through Thursday, and I'm also going to be doing some workshops here from 6:30 to 8 so people can come in. I'm going to teach them how to build dominoes. We'll make one large project on the table, let's knock it down, and a surprise is Erno Rubik is actually going to be here. Like, he's the guy that invented the Rubik's Cube, and he's going to knock down the dominoes on Friday, so it's going to be so cool. We're also going to be on a panel together. I don't even know what we're really going to talk about, but it's like super cool, like Erno Rubik and dominoes. Super crazy. Alright, so this project is pretty big structures project. This is the plan. There's pretty much a ton of structures. It's going to start really small with maybe just like a domino line, and then it's going to get gradually taller and taller. And by the end, the last structure, I believe, is about 6.5 feet tall. This is the official domino count. There's probably going to be 7,283 dominoes. I brought about 8,000 in 1, 2, 3 boxes. We brought these on the plane, checked as luggage, and this is a separate, larger plan for this structure, which I'm going to build first. So I need black, I need white, and I need gold. Let's start building. Alright, so I'm building tower K first. I'm building that one first because it's the second tallest, so it's pretty risky. And in case I run out of time, I won't do the very last tower, which is tower L. Probably will have time for that. But just in case, K is the most risky. It's really tall, and it's the least structurally sound just because it's so tall and skinny. And you know my luck with towers, right? Yeah, this is the same kind of tower as the one that failed. Now I'm going to start with the base, centered right here with the time lapse. Alright, so it's day 2 now, and as you can see behind me, I've started this tower. It's a pretty cool design. It has like diagonal stripes of white and gold that go up. Today I'm going to be building a bit more. Hopefully I can start on the second tower that goes behind it, and the third tower. We'll see how timing goes. Also, fun fact, I added my business cards right here. It's on the glass window, and now when people walk by, they'll be able to see, oh, it's Hevish5. She's a domino artist. Oh, look at that. That's how you can contact me and follow me on social media. Okay, so I'm building the tower, and I'm really dumb, and I actually messed up the design. See that gold stripe at the top? That's supposed to be angled this... Oh, I'm like, I just messed up again. That stripe right there is supposed to be angled this way rather than this way. It's like a diagonal going this way, left, right, like all the way up. And I totally spaced that. It was kind of on autopilot, so I think I have to take down all of these rows and then rebuild that section. See, this is what happens when you don't really pay attention. You just start building. Always think about what you're building and don't make mistakes like I do. If only I could rebuild as fast as I could unbuild. So these are all the dominoes that I just took off, and now I need to replace them the correct way. So I've basically finished the first tower so far. Here it is. So I'm leaving a few dominoes down here at the bottom, and later I'm going to actually build them on the top, but I need to tape one of the dominoes to a string, so that string will be pulled, and then that'll release one of the dominoes in the top, which will actually knock down the tower. And I'll probably do that once I finish the next tower right next to it. This next tower, Tower J, is pretty straightforward. Now, looking at the plan, J has 320 dominoes, so much less, and it's a much easier pattern to build than this one. This is the hardest one. And because it's gradually getting shorter now, it's going to be much faster, hopefully, to build the rest of these. Let's get some dominoes for this, and I'll put it right over here. Test. Oh, whoa. Okay, when I knocked down that tower, the domino bounced off the ground and it pushed this domino in. Do you see that? I need to fix this now. That was scary. Alright, so I finished the second tower now, and it makes this like crisscrossing pattern with stripes of pink and white all the way up here. Towards the top of it, I had to make the spacing a bit closer compared to down here, just because I think some of the dominoes are really uneven, so it's becoming kind of unstable. Putting it closer together sometimes makes it a bit more stable. This is only like 5 feet tall. Like, I'm just wondering, why is it so uneven already? It's not the floor. Like, what? That should not be happening. Welcome back. It's day 3, and progress is going a bit slow, I will admit. Everyone here like wakes up super late and stays up super late to avoid the sun and the heat, just because it's like really hot outside. So we've been getting here at like 2 every day, and I met Erno Rubik, and he's super cool, super funny guy, really smart, and we're gonna be on a panel later today. Brian Berg, the card stacker, is gonna be there. There's some speed cubers, and I'm gonna be building a tower on one of the stages there. Right now, while I'm waiting, I'm going to start the next tower. That is Tower I, and that's going to be a half 2D pyramid. I has a base of 7. It's 4.3 feet tall, and it has about 745 dominoes. Wow, I can't believe it. I actually messed up again. This is supposed to be orange all along the bottom, but for some reason I put black here. So now I need to remove this and replace that with orange. Always read your plan. Alright, I'm almost done this 2D half pyramid. We have a triangle design with upside down triangles in black, and we got a few more up here. There it is. Okay, it's day 4, and now I'm on the 4th domino wall. This structure is a combination of a double wall and 2D half pyramids on top of it. So all 4 of these walls that come out have just a normal domino wall and then the half pyramid on top right here. And pretty much it's going to go in this spot right here. I've marked out the general area. I'm trying to avoid this because there's like an outlet plug here, but it should look really cool. It's in fire colors, and I don't know if anyone's done this structure before, so I'm really excited to build it. Welcome to day 5. We're getting there. I've just finished this fire structure. It's a normal wall with another wall 90 degrees. We have 2D half pyramids going on top of it. I'm not entirely happy with how it came out. I wish I had made the base a bit longer so that these triangles would be taller instead of just a short little triangle here. But I think for the next one, I'm actually going to make the base longer than it should be, and it should still be around that height. So it'll be a little bit shorter, but it'll be wider. Moving on to G, this is a double wall with triangles going in the opposite inverse direction. So instead of going out towards the back of each of these panels, it's going in towards the center of the structure. And I think I'm going to change the colors so that the blue is on the outside rather than the inside, and white is on the inside. Just because the inner color of this one is a light color, yellow, and the darker color on the outside is red. I think that'll match a little bit more, and I think the dark blue will especially pop out even more clear on this white floor, rather than if white was the outside color of the pyramid. Alright, it's day 6. This is the final building day, and we're gonna knock it down tonight. Rubik is gonna knock it down, and I need to really finish this setup because today is actually the last day. So, let's go build. I changed the color pattern slightly for this design. Instead of having stripes that go from the white to the blue to the dark blue, it's actually gonna have dark blue, space of white, light blue, space of white, and then it's gonna keep going for each of these 4 panels. And I need to make it just a bit more tall, probably up to like that height if I can. And then after that, I think I have 2 more structures, maybe 3, and then it'll knock down the final big tower at the end. There it is. This structure is now complete. This is the next tower, Tower F. This was actually a super fast build. It's pretty much the diagonal wall method connected by a normal wall, like column technique method on the corners, and it looks pretty sweet. I left a space here so I can tie a string to this one. Otherwise, I'd have to like try to tape something to a domino that's already in the structure, and that's pretty risky. So I'll do that at the end and then fill in this little section later. But now it's pretty easy from here. Okay, I've finished this structure. I've never actually built this structure before, but pretty much it uses the 3D pyramid technique, but then you use almost like the cube technique, also known as the pyro wall technique on the edges to make it have a vertical side rather than a slanted side. I ran out of orange, so I switched to gold and then yellow and then white for that last one. And I think I need to make this tower bigger now because it's almost as tall as the other one. So I'm going to add a few more rows to this and then 2 more small ones right there, and I should be good. Okay, this is the next structure. We have the speed pyramid, and then I'm going to do 1 more small one, and then probably just a domino line over here. Okay, the setup is done now. So it starts over here with just a simple domino line, and then it gradually gets a little bit taller, more complex, into the 3D structures, to the last pyramid, and then some giant towers. I'm now connecting everything with white domino lines so that it blends into the floor. We got some safety gaps just in case I knock them down. And now I have to add the string dominoes and attach that to right there. So now the string on the top of this pyramid is going to fall, which pulls out that green domino and eventually knocks over this entire tower. That's how I'm going to connect all the rest of these larger towers over here. Okay, so that last tower didn't fall, but hey, it's okay. The crowd still loved it. I had a good time. I hope you had a good time watching. The behind the 5 video of me meeting Erno Rubik is up, I think, so you can click on this link somewhere over here to watch that. And if you're new to this channel, this is the H5 Domino community channel where we kind of just come together and talk about our love for dominoes, and I feature other builders, and it's kind of a fun place for anyone who's into the world of dominoes. So if you enjoyed, hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications, because I post on this channel every single week with additional content where, you know, we go really in depth about the details of building dominoes. So go subscribe. And I also have a newsletter. So if you sign up at hevish5.com/newsletter, you'll get a monthly email of all the awesome things going on in the community, like domino events, domino clubs, ways that you can get involved and be featured on this channel. We work really hard in it, and I think if you like dominoes, you'll like it. So go subscribe to that as well. Link is in the description. I'm hevish5/Lily, and keep on building.
Вот, друзья, вот такой вот ролик получился. Ну что, друзья. Но это, друзья, еще не все. Мы, друзья, продолжим смотреть уже дальше. Друзья, продолжение 5-й части вы узнаете дальше. Так что смотри в следующем ролике. 5-я часть продолжается.